Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how you do it, even if you don't care. And today I'm gonna do a small ramble video since my eBay auction ended and just want to post something, guess maybe make up for the loss of that video that I'm gonna be taking down, and just want some few opinions that I wanted to give out here. So we got this guy going. Now just so you know, this is all strictly opinion based, and you know, I'm open to everyone else's discussions and thoughts on the matter, and also to keep in mind, like I've mentioned before, I am terrible with battle strategy, so I may think of a strategy or mention it here that just doesn't work at all, or is just a terrible idea, and so don't be surprised because I'm really bad with this kind of strategy stuff. I'm better more at dice rolling and luck than anything with this game. As you can see on the front here, this is about the new Forge World display that they were talking about for Preorder, which is the new Eldar Aspect Warrior group. This got me really excited, mostly because you don't get much out of Forge World for Eldar. You mostly get Space Marine stuff. Granted, Eldar do have stuff out there, but it's more Apocalypse-based miniatures that they get. Very rarely do they give them really 40k models, so this got me really excited, also because of the fact that I don't play a regular craft world. I play a pirate clan that used to be part of the Uwithi. It's a whole big Hadoo. Maybe I'll make a video about that later when it's finished and I display them out for you guys or something like that. So I was very excited, especially because I wanted something a little bit more unique and different for my army, and these guys would fit the bill, and they also look awesome, if you ask me. I mean, these models are really pretty. So we're going to first talk about a little bit about the models, not too much, because all we got right now are pictures, and really can't say much about that. But when I finally get these models, because I am ordering them. Me and Phil are making a Forge World order on Monday, so I'll be missing the pre-order date. But you know, the day that they're officially available is when I'll be ordering them. And so when I get them, I'll do another video about opening the bag, since Phil's going to get the box and I'll get them after the fact. First off, I do like how they look. I think they're really neat. You know, they're unique and different without being odd and over the top type of thing. I kind of like their look. I'm not a big fan of the rocks. Like they look a little weird to me. But from other pictures here, let me take this down so I can show you. Like here, other pictures that we've seen, they can be mounted on on a brass pole or something, which is what I'm probably going to end up doing, except for one model. This is the one really big thing I'm not too happy about. There's really no X-Arch for the group here. Well, you can probably argue that this guy right here is the X-Arch, because he's pointing his gun up to the heavens while these guys are all pointing it out in front of them. But that's a little upsetting to me, because, you know, I really like having the X-Arch being, you know, like having a little different piece of armory, or his helmet being slightly different, or, you know, like with the Swooping Hawks, his wings are different and such, or the Striking Scorpions, where, you know, they have a slight something about them that makes them stick out just a hair bit. And I think putting the gun on an angle is kind of a bit of a cop-out. But so what I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm probably going to make him the X-Arch and give him a rock face, but make the others put them on brass poles just so he kind of sticks out a little bit more than he does right now. And also do my paint color scheme that I'm also a little upset that I'm not really upset, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't put a picture of them painted, because I'm really curious to see what the aspect colors for them are. So maybe when the new when the Eldar get a new codex, then Games Workshop incorporates these guys into the army, maybe then we'll get a color scheme for them, which at that point I guess I'll strip the models and repaint them, or just, if I like my color scheme, I'll just keep them the way that they are. We'll see about that. And so, really look neat. So let's get into the rules for these guys. From what I've heard, not many people are big fans of the rules for these guys. and mostly because they don't like the point cost. At least from what I've been hearing down the grapevine, that's some of the negative things I've heard. The biggest negative thing I heard is, point-wise, you don't get enough. So we're going to first take a look. We're going to compare them to the Dark Reapers, because that's kind of like their supplement. Like, this is the kind of group your secondary choice over Dark Reapers. Now, Dark Reapers are 35 points. They got weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 1, initiative 5, attacks 1, leadership 9, saving throw 3. And the Exarch is pretty much the same, except his weapon ballistic skill is 5, his initiative is 6, and his attacks are 2. You can have 3 to 5 Dark Reapers. They're in a squad. They're unit type infantry. They have Reaper launchers. The Exarch can get fast shot and crack shot, and they can be mounted in a wave serpent. And the Reaper launcher, in terms of weaponry, is range 48, strength 5, AP 3, heavy 2. And the Exarch may trade out his Reaper launcher for a Tempest launcher, which is a Guess 36 weapon, strength 4, AP 3, heavy 2, blast. And fast shot allows him to allows the Exarch to add +1 to the number of shots fired by his weapon. And crack shot allows him to make it where the enemy may not make cover saves against shots from the Exarch, and the Exarch may re-roll failed to wound shots, and you can't combo the two, in terms you can't use fast shot and crack shot on the same shooting phase. So, pretty nasty. They're basically the only heavy support unit that Eldar got. But then we got, hold on, let me just pull up the rule list here for the Shadow Spectres. Let me just get it on my phone here so I don't have to keep switching back and forth. So, what we get with the Shadow Spectres is 35 points a model. They have the same profile as a Dark Reapers. The only difference is the actual troopers that are not Exarches only have a +4 armor save. So, okay, same point value as a Dark Reaper, but we lost the armor save of 3 up. Alrighty. Now, they do 3 to 5 model unit. Their unit type, jetpack infantry, and their war gear is prism rifle, jetpack, and holofield, which gives them a 5+ invuln save. So we've traded off our +1. We traded off our +1 to our armor save and got a 5+ invuln, which is pretty nice. That kind of allows them to be more in the middle, in the fray, as it is, and it's kind of a little bit more understandable when we get to the rules later of why they had the invuln save, but still, I think it's a fair trade-off with them. The Exarch, Exarch is upgraded for 12 points into an Exarch if you want him to, and he can replace his Prism Rifle with a Prism Lance for 10 points, or a Haywire Launcher for 10 points. He may also get the special art warrior powers Cynosure and Withdraw. They're both 15 points. Their special rules are Deep Strike, Relentless, Acute Senses, and Ghost Light. And we'll get into those a little bit more. They're a heavy support choice. And now, let's talk about their weapons. The weapons that we're getting for them are prism rifles. Basically, portable prism cannons. And it's range 12, strength 6, AP 2, heavy 1. And the prism lance is strength 12, range 12, strength 7, AP 2, heavy 1. So right there, I feel their weapons are a little bit nicer than the Reaper launchers. Granted, they do take less shots, but they trade off with a better strength and a better AP value. And they also have this ability called the Ghost Light. Now, what the Ghost Light is their fire prisms are connected to a sophisticated targeting matrix known as the Ghost Light. This combines each individual shot into a single searing blast of energy. Instead of firing their prism rifles or prism lance individually, the squad may take a single Ghost Light shot as follows. You elect one model in the squad, and then you draw line of sight and range line of sight and range are measured from this model. Is maximum range is equal to 12 plus 12 per additional model firing. So a full squad of 5 dudes get a range of 60. That's the range of a prism cannon. And you roll the hit as normal using the squad's majority ballistic skill of 4. The Ghostlight's strength is equal to the firing mode of the weapon plus 1 per additional model, up to a maximum of 10. So you can have a plus 10, you can have a strength 10, AP 2, heavy 1 shot that is also a lance. So you basically got a bright lance at a strength 10. That's kind of ridiculous against like a land raider. That means you need a 2 to glance, since a lance shot, is any armor over 12 counts as 12. So right there, okay, goodbye land raider, kabam. The only thing that it's basically that this rule is nulled by is the monolith and any other living metal unit, which I don't know about any other guys having that kind of special rule, except for the warp spiders, the wave serpent's energy field. And also all the squad must fire into the ghost light or none. An Exarch may elect to fire separately or join the squad's shot. So if you have a squad of just plain Shadow Spectres, no Exarch, and you decide the ghost light, all of them have to fire. It's not one or the other. So you got them there. And then they have jetpacks, which are which I believe the Tau also have. I think the Tau introduced this. It's a model wearing a jetpack gains the following benefits. In the movement phase, they move 6 inches when using the pack, but they are always allowed to move 6 inches in assault, even if they don't assault. When the jetpack equipped troops move in the assault phase and do not assault, they treat difficult terrain just as other jump infantry do in the movement phase. Models with jump packs are relentless, so in essence they get the Battlefleet Gothic Eldar tactic: move, shoot, move. So you have the whole squad move into position, fire a ghost light shot, move out of the way so they're back in cover. And then when units start getting closer to them and they need to start thinning out the numbers, they can just fire their shots individually and they can do a good chunk of damage to almost anything, any type of heavy unit armor. Practically there's nothing out there there's basically nothing that cannot avoid using their invuln saves against their shots, which is really nice. Excuse me. And now there's also one other weapon called the Haywire Launcher. This is basically that Stormhawk, the Swooping Hawks Haywire grenades. I'm sorry, for some reason I thought of an old cartoon show for some reason. Where, when they land, they drop a pie plate of these guys. Well, they turn into a gun with a range 36 inches, strength 3, AP 3, heavy 1, haywire. Which means the vehicles do not roll for armor penetration against this shot. Instead, on a 2 to 4, they do a glancing hit, and on a 5 and 6, they do a penetrating hit. So it's basically, it's fairly nice. Granted, it's not that great against troops. It's more of it's really more if you want to supplement out fire dragons for these guys. And they also have the Exarch's powers. Cynosure basically allows the squad may re-roll failed roll to hits when using Ghost Light, which is really nice, and Withdrawal, which gives them hit and run. So they can you can basically pop out, fire a bunch of prism shots into a squad that's getting there, and if you don't take them down, you can rush into them, tie them up in combat, and then the next round, hit and run out of there, and do the whole thing over. So they kind of got a little bit more versatility. I like these guys a little bit more than the Dark Reapers, for the sheer fact that they're a heavy support group that you can move around and reposition as the course of the battle changes and evolves, so you don't end up and you're able to move them without losing your shot. Whereas the Dark Reapers, you have to position them in such a way, and if you don't, position them just right, eventually they're going to have to move and sacrifice maybe 1 or 2 rounds of shooting before they can get back into the game. Whereas these guys, they can move, shoot, and reposition themselves whenever. They have the invuln save, which helps them out, especially since they're going to be more, they're going to be bigger, they're going to be a big target like Dark Reapers because they do pack a big punch. And so, but unlike Dark Reapers, they do have, they're more of a close range capability with 1 long range shot. It is on only 1 shot, but it's still a very powerful shot. You're basically, so I kind of disagree with the comment that they're not worth their points. I think they're very much worth their points. I think that they're a really great unit, especially, they're not a great, they're a great anti-vehicle, anti-heavy armor group. I wouldn't really consider these guys great for anti-infantry, which is probably where the Dark Reapers would have them beat, because, you know, with these guys you can only get a maximum of 5 shots out, whereas with the Dark Reapers you can get 10 shots out of them. Plus, if you play right, you can get a pie plate. You can get 2 small blast plates. So the Dark Reapers are kind of better at more anti-troop and anti-light vehicle, where these guys are more anti-heavy, anti-elites like Mecha Boys, and if Mecha Boys are actually elites, I don't know. Immortals, anti-Terminators and stuff like that. You know, they're great against the heavy stuff, but against the smaller, hoarding stuff, they're not as good, because they can't just pop out as many shots. Granted, they can move around a lot, and they can be they can be a little bit harder to, catch up to, because of their abilities to utilize terrain around them, but still they're a little bit, but still they suffer from the fact that they can, really take down a lot of horde, but all in all, I think they're still worth their points, despite the fact that they're not as good anti-troop choices. I think making them cheaper would have been a little bit too unfair in their front. I think it's a nice mixture. You're getting the little that you're trading in from the Dark Reaper status. I think you're getting a lot back. Okay, so let's talk about the next thing, which is the Warp Hunter. Now, I didn't know this guy was actually being made. I knew about the Shadow Spectres, but I didn't know about them getting a new tank. And this made me so happy. I love the way this thing looks. I love practically everything about it. This for me, gives like the Eldar that old edge, that old rule-breaking edge, that they're not breaking the rules, they're just bending them, and it's completely unfair, and that's what I love about them. And so, the model itself looks amazing. It reminds me of the Cobra Super Heavy tank, because it's got the D cannon along the side here, with the small little doohad on the top, and these neat little spine things. It's enough similarity to the Falcon and the Fire Prism, with just the right amount of difference in it to make it stand out on its own as its own unique thing. And I love the way this D cannon looks. It just looks phenomenal. And so what this guy is it's a Falcon without the transport capability. Instead, it's got a giant warp engine in it to fire the D cannon. It's 125 points. It's got a ballistic skill 3, front armor 12, side armor 12, rear armor 10. It's a vehicle fast skimmer tank. It's got twin-link shrinking catapults, a D cannon. It has the special rule Ether Rift. It can upgrade its shrinking catapults to a shrinking cannon. It could have spirit stones, star engines, vector engines, holofields. Now, one of these abilities, I think it's vector engines. Me personally, they're kind of pointless at this point, because if I believe everything, all skimmers can crash land now instead of go out. I don't really see the point of them, but I could be just missing something. It has been a while since I've read the crashing rules and the vector engine rules, so I don't know if they're still poignant or not, but that's just me. It counts as a heavy support, and really not much to say there, except let's move on to the D cannon. The D cannon has a range 36, and its strength is special. It's an AP2 Heavy 1 Blast Barrage D cannon weapon. And what a D cannon does is a D cannon always wounds on a 2+, regardless. And to roll the hit, wounds on a 6 inflicts insta-death on the victim regardless of toughness. Against targets with an armor value, a D cannon always inflicts a glancing hit on a roll of a 3 or 4, and a penetrating hit on a roll of a 6. And a D cannon attack bypasses power fields and void shields. So this thing can go toe-to-toe with Titans in an Armageddon, in an Apocalypse game, which is really sick. And the fact that it can just blow away troops and rip through vehicles with no problem. It's essentially, you know, there's practically nothing that it cannot rip apart, because the chances of not wounding, not wounding or hitting something is very slim, which is really nice to have, because, like, the Eldar are really ridiculous in that kind of stuff with all their technology. And it's nothing really too fancy right now, because the D cannon has been around with the weapon platforms and such, but this is where it gets really interesting. Ether Rift. The Warp Hunter can change its gun to fire an Ether Rip attack, and you use this profile. It's a template weapon, okay? You place the template so the narrow end is within 6 inches of the weapon, which I would assume what they mean is 6 inches from the tip of this gun, so you can be 6 inches out. And the large end is no closer to the weapon than the narrow end. The Ether Rip then is treated like any other template weapon and has the D cannon special rules. So what they've done is they've given the D cannon, the thing that wounds on 2+ and glances on 3 and 4 and pens on 5 and 6, an auto hit. That is disgusting. That just blew my mind when I read that. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. They made the D cannon into a flamer. That is just... that's all kinds of broken, and I love it for that. It's a beautiful looking model with really sick rules that I was just like, I was at a loss of words when I read this thing. And I know I'm probably giving this thing way too much praise than it really deserves, but that is just really amazing for me. I think that is a great little tidbit. It gives the Eldar that really edge of, oh, I really hate that they're able to do that kind of feel, which is just phenomenal. It is a pretty point heavy compared to the other tanks, but I think you're getting all of your points worth with that D cannon shot, especially with the Ether Rift. Especially since the only way to stop it from doing an Ether Rift shot is to disable the weapon. You know, you throw in some holofields on this thing, a spirit stone, and you've got yourself a nasty little thing. It's great it's a giant target, that's for sure, you know, there's no way around that this thing is going to draw a lot of fire. But at the same time, with it drawing fire, it causes, you know, your opponent to make a decision, you know. You've got to decide what you're going to draw, you can draw all your fire on this thing to try and get rid of this nasty threat, or, try and deal with them another thing, you know. It is a very big, nasty threat, and it can draw a lot of firepower, but it's still, you know, it's then at that point you gotta try and work some way to try and either just accept the fact that it's going to be probably the first thing that gets shut down, but then just rely on the fact that they wasted whatever shot that they did to take it down, over taking down another vehicle, like like a wave serpent filled with harlequins or something, or an avatar. You know, it really all depends how you play it. Since it is a fairly short range, it does have to get in there, but still, it can plow through a lot of stuff. But again, it sounds really all neat, but just like pretty much anything in this game, you shoot at it enough and it dies. And the bigger the gun, the more shots it's going to draw to itself. So it has the disadvantage that it probably, like in my case, in my luck, it's probably going to be the first thing that gets ripped to pieces, but still, the sheer fact that if it gets to fire that D cannon is just, I just can't wait to see what kind of damage I can do with this kind of tank. And so, that's basically it. So tell me, guys, what do you guys think about this? Which models do you hate? Which do you like? Which, you know, what do you think? What are your strategical ideas for playing with these models? What would you pick these up yourself? They're up for pre-order right now, and they will be released on January 24th, which is a Monday. And so that's basically, that's it for this week. You know, I'll post the next video of finishing the Wrath of Horus, and we'll just go from there. So, take care for now, everyone. Until next time, this is Helios Raven, signing off.